Good evening. How you doing? Jeff. I'm Jeff. If you're watching my channel, I'm Jeff. Just fat and ordinary over here. So I took some notes. I recorded a video, but I kept, again, looking at the camera instead of looking at what was showing because it's not in front of my face. When I used to have it configured differently, the camera was right in front of the computer screen so I could see exactly what was being displayed. So I keep forgetting to change it back. So I put it on a different screen and there were just random words. It's the same as a chair the other day where I just had a video of chair sitting there for a while, so I had to re-record the whole video. I wasn't going to re-record a video tonight. I had a issue with something that I said and something that I did, but I just said, hey, I'm just going to plow through. I'm just going to keep going. So today the video is called Hurt because it seems to be something that I'm doing quite frequently at the moment. Maybe not emotionally, but physically it's happened more than once. You know, sometimes you just whack into tow bars and bark your shins. I've done that a couple times over the last couple of weeks. Not pleasant. Things sticking out where they shouldn't be, and invariably we don't necessarily pay as much attention to these sort of things as we should. So I've had that problem as well. Kicking the corner of the bed I do quite frequently. Our bedroom's not very big. Our bed's quite big. And middle of the night I get up in the dark and I cut the corner. And the bottom of the legs are slightly trapezoidal. They stick out just a little bit. Just enough that it just hooks my toe in the middle of the night and do that real gentle, tiptoey, runny, walky, walk it off sort of thing. Not quite putting my hand over my mouth to stifle the sound because invariably I don't make that much sound. And besides, my wife slept through the smoke detector before, so I don't think me cursing and bouncing off the wall is going to make that much difference to her. Anyway, I think part of the reason that I tend to, lately, I've been hurting myself is I just keep plowing through things. So I keep plowing through the work. I keep plowing forward even if I know something's not right with either my behavior or my specific activity, not necessarily behavior, because I'm just so well behaved all the time. Or a part's not right, or a bolt's not right, or something's rounded when it shouldn't. The amount of people that work on cars that know how often bolts that are meant to be hexagons are more oblong rounds, and sometimes it's difficult to undo them, and invariably when you go to undo it, you just bark your knuckles. I was trying to take off a plastic cover, or a rubber cover, a water protector to stop water getting up into the footwell of a car. And when I pushed on it with my finger went right past the rubber. It came unclipped. That was meant to be clipped onto the body. And my finger became jammed in there. Tore a massive chunk out of my fingernail. And it's my main undoey thing, fingernail on my dominant hand, which is my left hand. At least the hole I put in my other hand was not my dominant hand. So I just like to get things done. So a couple of extra holes in my body today. I mean, look, I've always been a bit unco when I've discussed this with people that profess to know what they're talking about, whether they are actual professionals or whether they just happen to be people that think they know what they're talking about. They say because I never crawled, and I don't know why I didn't crawl. I didn't really have a D&M with my parents about my youngling development. But I just didn't crawl. And apparently some of my issues can be attributed to not crawling, because apparently crawling is a very important part of a youngling's development for motor skills and coordination and that sort of thing. So I was quite appalling at sport when I was younger. If it involved a mechanical device and it was just an activity that was a mechanical device, say riding a bicycle. I used to be able to jump my BMX off of anything as a kid. But when it came to operating my arms and legs in a way that wasn't enabled by some sort of motion limiting mechanical device, I just sucked. I mean, if I had been a kid growing up now, I'd be a god of participation awards. I mean, I wouldn't have any other awards, but I would have shelves and shelves and shelves of participation awards, that's for sure. But as it stands, I don't, because they didn't really exist when I was young. Guess I was born a little bit too early for that sort of thing. Now, let me get my geriatric claws out and we'll look at something. Accident prone. Although it seems that I'm accident prone. But hang on, let's hit the button. Accident prone. Having a greater than average number of accidents. I mean, what's a greater number of accidents? Who has more or less accidents? Is it the magnitude of the accident or the volume of accidents that makes someone accident prone? Is me stubbing my toe on the end of the bed accident prone, or is it just because the bed's a stupid design and the room's too small, or I'm just not paying attention? Does that necessarily make me accident prone? Do other people stub their toes on beds? I've tripped over the crack in a concrete, not even the crappy footpaths that we tend to have around here, because they're all 30 years old and the ground has moved so much that you have to like bunny hop a skateboard over the you don't bunny hop a skateboard, do you? Ollie, there you go. I know a technical term for skateboarding. You have to ollie over the gaps in the footpaths, otherwise you just face plant. I've done a few of them in my time too, so I don't know if that makes me accident prone. Having personality traits that predispose someone to accidents. Well, I don't know if I can predispose to accidents or not. I didn't mean to leave that up there, as long as I did it. Again, looking at the camera, not looking at the screen. Don't know. I don't know if I have personality traits that makes me predisposed to accidents. Looking at the risk aversion traits, which would be this, fairly methodical, leery. Sounds a bit creepy, doesn't it? Leery sounds like what a peeping Tom would be. Circumspect, not really circumspect, not really jealous. Diligent in my job, not necessarily diligent in other things. Prudential, sounds like a bank. Actually, I think it is a bank. Carefully, sounds like it's carefully doesn't necessarily. It sounds like more of a verb to me. Careful would be a noun. Careful. I don't know. I'm not a linguist. Thorough, painstaking. I don't know. Painful. Don't know if painstaking. I mean, unless getting staked is painful, then I guess I've probably done that too. Anyway, so. Yeah, so I tend to think I'm more risk averse, but maybe just because I plow, maybe just because I get so focused on the task that I'm doing, I don't necessarily look at where my digits are. See, I tried to learn guitar, so I can play a little bit. I think I can play 4 chords, which means I can play half the pop songs ever written, but it never made sense to me that the music went one way and the chords on the guitar went, the strings on the guitar went the other way. So in music, the high notes are at the top. On a guitar, the high notes are at the bottom. And I thought, what sort of stupid custody idea is that? That just seems backwards to me. So for years and years and years, I didn't. Plus, everyone around me was right-handed. And then I got a neighbor who was left-handed, and he went, oh no, it's just the opposite way around. This is why it's the opposite way around. And I went, oh, okay. And then I learnt those 4 chords, and they're the same 4 chords I've been banging every other pop song and half the punk songs and half the rock songs. It's just what I've been, it's just the way I roll. So I don't really have anything else to say. But all I mean is mechanical things. I mean, I probably could have learnt piano when I was younger, but, when you don't have a good teacher at things, sometimes it just puts you off. Anyway. That's all I've got to say about that. It might get to the point that if, by the end of next week or the week after, I've hurt so many of my fingers that I'm going to have to learn to type with my toes or use my tongue to press the keys on the keyboard so that I can keep making content for you lovely people. But that's really all I've got to say about that. Be excellent to each other. That's actually my thumb.